Nerd alert, nerd alert. Not to perpetuate stereotypes, but I think I'm gonna need my glasses for this one. I'm Maura, I'm a speech pathologist with Rooted in Language, and today we're getting down and dirty and nerdy about the English R sound because it just causes all kinds of problems. The R sound is what's known by speech scientists as a liquid, and it doesn't really act like other consonants because the R sound exists somewhere in that gray area between consonants and vowels. The sound is made in the mouth much like a vowel sound with a relatively unrestricted, open oral cavity. We make vowel sounds like ah, e, o. There's not a lot stopping that airflow. That's what I mean by unrestricted. Therefore, the various vowel sounds that we make are mostly based on the shape of the tongue and not much else, as opposed to consonant sounds, which are produced by restricting that airflow through the mouth using our various articulators like our tongue, teeth, lips, soft palate, jaw. But that R sound falls somewhere in the muddy middle. There's a little constriction in the oral cavity, but it's so weak that mostly we create an sound by the shape of our tongue, a lot like a vowel. And that's your background as to why the R causes so much confusion to process, discriminate, articulate. And it's also why the R causes so much confusion in spelling, particularly when it occurs after a vowel. The R distorts things and changes things.
It has the power to do great things. Terrible! Yes, but great.
So because of its vowel-like qualities, the R pulls and tugs on the vowels that precede it. And historically, that R sound has been very difficult for linguists to analyze because the letter R doesn't represent just one sound. There are actually several different R sounds that are quite distinct from each other. And to illustrate this, I'm going to say this common name using 4 distinct R sounds that are widely used across the globe. Mary, 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 Marie. And different R sounds have existed just within the English language for centuries. Therefore, we cannot rely on spellings to tell us what the R sounded like at any given time. Additionally, not all dialects use the R sound the same way. One of the most distinctive features of English spoken in England, Wales, Australia, New Zealand, etc. is how the R sound is dropped altogether after a vowel. So burn becomes bun and bear becomes bear. And in fact, there's a history of disappearing R's across English spelling, too. Okay, nerds, if you're still with me, it's about to get good. See, linguists look at spellings for clues as to how words used to be pronounced because historically, spellings were an attempted representation of how words were being spoken. And as far back as the 1400s, spellings were still very phonetic. So when the letter R was dropped from a spelling, it tended to reflect that the writer didn't pronounce the R in that word. Spelling was still quite flexible at this time. If you didn't say the R, you didn't write it. Must be nice. Evidence suggests that English was originally rhotic, meaning all R's were pronounced. But documents reveal that in the 1400s, the letter R began to be dropped from words that were previously spelled with R's, particularly after vowels and before the consonant S. Specific, I know. And despite these very limited conditions, its influence was so strong that it actually produced a few R-less spellings that have survived into modern English. And as a result, we've ended up with several word pairs in which one version of the word has the original R and the other does not. And this is how we get the following words. Get ready to have your mind blown. Burst and bust. Curse and cuss. Arse and ass. The more widespread loss of the R sound that we hear in modern British English didn't occur until the 1700s, which failed to impact spelling since English spelling was much more cemented by then. Which is why words like scarcely is still spelled with an R in British English, even though it's scarcely pronounced with one. So no matter how you say your R's or if you hardly say them at all, I think we all learned something today. That you're a nerd because you made it to the end of this video. Or maybe you're just a nerd. Nerd? Follow for more language and literacy tips and facts.